Kia ora. Kūmara is one of the important ancient Polynesian canoe crops that were originally sourced from South America, brought back to the islands and then cultivated in all corners of the Polynesian Triangle. The Kūmara is a tropical plant, so in the tropics it grows pretty much all year round, but in cooler climates like here in Aotearoa they're only grown over the summer season, and the growing process is a bit harder. In the tropics, the way you grow Kūmara is pretty simple. You just take cuttings off a runner vine, strip off all the bottom leaves and shove it straight in the ground, and as long as it gets a bit of water and rain, it'll start rooting from the nodes of the plant, of the vine, and it will just take off after that. Kūmara prefers drier conditions and well-draining soft volcanic soil or loamy sand, and because we're in a cooler temperate climate here, we traditionally grew them on a north or northeast facing slope to create a microclimate and to improve drainage. First they selected some good sized tubers from the last season's crop and planted them in what we call a tāpapa, which is kind of like a raised nursery bed with volcanic stones shaped like a mound, and then filled with soil and amended with pebbles, gravel, shells or sand. And this was just to help with drainage and to generate heat. The outer rock wall helped to absorb heat from the sun, irradiate it into the soil, and at the bottom of the bed they would also have a layer of green vegetation, which would also serve not only as compost but to generate more heat from the bottom. And so, according to regional maramataka, the environmental indicators would tell you the optimum time to start planting in spring, and tubers would be buried usually facing the east or either northeast, and each tuber produces heaps of little tipu or little slips, and it's the slips that are used to produce the next generation of tubers. They don't grow like regular potatoes, so the slips would be removed and then planted in puke or mounds and then placed so that the slip is kind of lying parallel to the surface rather than straight down, and this just helps to create more and better tubers close to the surface. And while the slips are still young, they need a bit of rain or watering just to get them started, but once they get a bit bigger, healthier leaves and vines, they don't mind dry conditions at all. And to produce better sized tubers, the vines sometimes need to be lifted, otherwise the runners will put down roots from the nodes. And another practice was to sometimes use stones or rocks as a mulch around the plant to generate more heat, and so that the vines can just sprawl over the rocks. The new leaves on the Kūmara vine can also be harvested and eaten, and if they're in a real warm spot and they have optimum growing conditions, they'll also produce flowers as they mature. And the Kūmara need from about 4 to 6 months to grow to a decent size, and where I am, usually harvested before winter while things are still dry, and you just got to store them in a cool, dry place so that they sweeten up and cure a bit. And it's at this time that you also select your tubers that will be seeded for next season. So back in the day, they used to be cured and stored in pātaka, which were kind of raised storehouses, or they were put in rua Kūmara, which are like underground storage pits, and then we laid and covered kind of leaves around them like ponga just to preserve them longer, and aru here, and just to prevent fungus or disease. If you're in a warmer, frost-free location and you're a bit lazier like me, you can also just grow Kūmara as a perennial ground cover. I've got patches which I don't harvest, and because they're sprawling just over the rocks or under trees, they have enough warmth to survive the winter season. The benefit of having a perennial patch like this is that you don't need to resprout slips from tubers. You can just take cuttings from the runners in spring and just grow a new patch. We have a lot of important pūrākau or traditional stories around the origins of Kūmara, as well as various karakia or incantations and protocols around growing it. And yeah, I'm not going to cover those in this video, but because there's so many regional variations, but hopefully you've got an idea of just some of the basic practices and methods that we use to grow it. So yeah, I encourage you to give it a try in your own garden. So that's it. Mauri tū, mauri oho, mauri ora.